guys, welcome back. It's Shelby and today we are painting a vase. So I have this cute vase that I actually got from Ikea and it's glass, which is important because the paint I'm using is glass paint. But yeah, it's just a basic cheap little vase, but what I want to do is make it just beautiful and fresh flowers for spring to hold the flowers in. Or I guess you could use it as even like a wine decanter, water pitcher or something if you wanted to. But what I will be using to paint it with are these, and I'm going to butcher it, PBO Vitrea 160 paints. I've used them before, I think, yes. So I've done a glass painting video before. It was for painting wine glasses. If you haven't seen that, I will link it above, but it's the same paints. And these are, I have three colors, blue, yellow, and red. These are awesome. I've been using them for years. They're translucent and really pretty kind of vibrant colors. They dry really well. Basically what you do is you just paint them on, let them wait 24 hours, stick your project in the oven, bring it up to temperature while it's in there, bake it, let it cool down all the way in there. And doing that, which is in the instructions, I've never had a project crack or fail, knock on wood. But yeah, so basically they're really easy to use. They're pretty self-explanatory. Just do read the instructions, which is on the side of each bottle. But I will link everything you need down in the description along with my socials. I hope you like the project. If you do, let me know by hitting that thumbs up button. Consider subscribing. Let's get into it. Okay, so here is my vase. I'm actually going to flip it upside down just because it's going to be easier for me to paint it that way. You can do it right side up, whatever is easier for you, but I want to make like tulip shaped flowers, so like the little bell shape, and I think it's going to be easier to paint down like this than to paint up. Who knows, that might change, but yeah, I'm starting with it upside down. The good thing is that this vase is translucent, or I guess pitcher, I'm not quite sure. I think it was called a decanter when I purchased it. But I don't have to like try and go on the back side so you guys can see it. I can just paint here and you're gonna be able to see it, and that's awesome. I should do like all my projects like that because that's gonna make things so much easier. So I'm gonna start with yellow because I always start with the lightest color. It makes it easier to like add dark colors to it rather than vice versa. Shake it up first like you would with any paint. I'm using an angle brush, just kind of like that, nice and thin. Let's move this. There we go. And you can use whatever brush you want, but I just grabbed this one and thought it would be the best one. So kind of goopy, thick paint, you can see that. And we're just gonna go in kind of with little bell shapes. So this paint is really cool. It's not an opaque paint. It's not something that you're gonna find like acrylic or anything like that. It's almost kind of like a, if you've worked with cake frostings, not like the actual frosting, but like the icing gel, it looks like that. And I will show you in just a moment once I get this flower done. Here we go. So what I'm doing is painting like a little bell shape and then kind of letting the paint run out and scratch as it gets to the bottom of the petals so that it's got kind of that tattered petal look, if that makes sense. Like some of the tulips have that. And I will show you in just a second. There we go. I think that looks good. Oh no, it's translucent. You can't see it. You need the white background. Can you see that? Kind of? Yeah. So basically just an upside down. There we go. This is like weird, but with the pictures behind, that's what's gotta happen. So yeah, just like a little flower shape. And then what I'm going to do is go in with another color. For this one, I think I'm going to choose red and just give my petals a little bit of accent. And I do that just to mix it up. I always kind of do that when I'm working with this paint, is put more than one color on one. I'm just going in with a little tiny brush this time. I think it just adds a little bit of dimension. I'm gonna flip this upside down again because that was actually quite easy for me. But since this paint is pretty translucent, it's kind of hard to get like petal definition in here unless you kind of go in with another color and paint in some lines and tell the eye there's a separate petal there. Here we go. Also, what I've noticed with this paint is it blends a little bit, but not a whole lot. So if you want green, go buy green. Don't, you know, think, oh, well, I've got yellow and blue, I'm just gonna mix it and get green. You're gonna get something, but it's not necessarily going to be readily identifiable as green, if that makes any sense. For example, I will show you in a moment, but I am painting my red onto my yellow. and I am coming up with beautiful petal definition of red and yellow and not really any orange. So you can see it's, you know, it's red and yellow, it's not orange. They don't really blend, but that works well if you are doing what I'm doing now and painting flowers or anything else really, because the colors do kind of stay true to what you paint on there. It's just if you only buy like 3 colors and like, oh, well, I'm gonna get the whole rainbow because I have red, blue, and yellow, and I'm just gonna mix them all together. Yeah, it's not gonna happen. So this flower is almost done. I'm just gonna add a little bit more because I really can't help myself but to just keep adding even when things are basically done. But then I also have that fear that I'm always gonna ruin it and be like, oh no, it was beautiful, why did I keep going? So there's a fine line that I very, very rarely ever get right, but there we go. I think that looks pretty good for the first flower. And we're gonna go in with the second one. And I'm going to continue using yellow because I'm basically gonna do like yellow ones for tulips up at the top here, and then kind of maybe some red flowers underneath. I think that might look nice. As always, you can definitely personalize your craft however you think would look lovely. You are the artist on your own crafts, so go for it. You kind of have to work relatively quickly with this paint, not maybe necessarily as quickly as you would with acrylic paint. It's kind of forgiving, but not really, also because you're working on glass. So anything you do, you're gonna see it. But it does wipe off pretty easily, especially if you work rather quickly. But it also does dry pretty quickly. It says to sit out 24 hours prior to baking. It's gonna be dry in like 20 minutes, like to the point where if you try and move it, you're just gonna smudge it around. You'll be able to like nick it off and edge it off, but really just kind of move pretty quickly, and then it's really just kind of hardening for the majority of the 24 hours. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't always wait the 24 hours, but I do always give it like an hour or two, sometimes preferably like 3 to 5, but not always the 24 before I bake it. And like I said, my projects always turn out well, even though I'm terrible at following directions and don't give it the full 24 hours. But since I'm kind of showing you how to do this, along with just showing you my craft, do the actual instructions and do it for 24 hours, because that's what you're supposed to do. Don't listen to what I do, just, you know, do as I say, not as I do. It's not at all how it ever works, but yeah, that's the best way to get the best project. So there we go, flower number 2. There we go. And right now they do kind of look like little blobs, I'll give you that, but I'm hoping they turn out as just beautiful, gorgeous flowers by the time I'm done. Just adding a little bit more decorations until you get the idea and the impression of tulips, because that's definitely what we're going for, and not just, you know, blobs of yellow on a vase, because that's no fun. It's got a bit more red in it. There we go. So now my colors are basically on there, and what I'm going to do is go back in with a little bit more red and paint out the petals. And how I'm going to do that is kind of put a blob up at the top and bring it down and drag the brush kind of more heavily as I go, so that the paint collects on the outside and kind of goes more translucent on the inside of the petals. And what that's going to do is allow the orange and the brighter yellows to show and give a little bit of almost like an outline with the deeper red of where I want people to think that the petals are. There we go. And this really works well because the paint does have such a gel-like texture that you can actually build up like a little, almost like a little barrier of paint on the edges, and it will stay, you know, it's not super liquidy and it doesn't run a whole lot. So let's see if that is, you can kind of see what can I stick in there. One sec, let me stick something in there. Okay, I found a towel. I'm gonna stick a towel in there, and what that's gonna do is give a white background and get rid of all the other flowers in there, so you can see what I'm talking about with this one, hopefully. There we go. Yeah, that actually kind of worked. Okay, cool. So can you see what I mean about the petals? Is I've just really outlined them with the red and allowing the brighter yellow to show through, and I think that's what makes it look like a flower. So this is the initial one, and I've got my red kind of chilling on there, and I'm just gonna go in and do the same thing and kind of outline it with the red to make it more petals. All right, so that is flower number 2. You can kind of see the little tri-petals coming out there. Gonna go in for our next one right there. There we go. And the very last one, which might possibly have been the first one I did. There we go. So far, here is how our flowers are looking. Super cute. It's just already like warms everything up and just feels a little bit more like spring, which is exactly what I'm going for. Then I'm thinking I want something fun on the bottom. And I love using my blue because I just think this blue is so pretty. It's a really gorgeous kind of deep sapphire. So maybe I'll just like do some cool brush strokes going up just to kind of set off the blue against the yellow and the red and just have a fun pop of color. I'll try and balance my brushes, and then we've got, this brush should work. I just basically use all my paintbrushes for everything, but this will definitely work. So I've got my fan brush, and I think it's too wide for the opening, so I'm just going to smush it in there and go doop. There we go. There's something about paint that's just so fun. It's the possibility of huge messes, I think. So I'm basically, let's see if I can get this on camera, just gonna go like that. Isn't that color awesome? And I don't want to like really saturate it. I want the little brush strokes in there. Actually, it kind of looks like grass a little bit. Here we go. Except bluegrass, but kind of keep brushing it down a little bit. Some of the places have more paint than others, so I'm just kind of lightly taking it down so that I've got that cool bristled effect in there that I'm going for. Bring it down a little bit more in between the flowers. I'm not redipping my brush. You definitely can if you would like. Just a little bit more color, almost like a blue sky around it. So pretty, so pretty. Okay, so I don't just want blue at the bottom, I want blue at the top as well, and the bottom's not dry, so I'm basically just going to hold it and then just kind of where it naturally indents, pull it down a little bit and make these cool kind of bristle effects as well. If you are doing something that you're going to be drinking out of, like a cup or something, don't get it on the rim. I mean, theoretically it says it's safe, but it's just always best practice to leave room for your mouth. But something like this that's like not going to be, you know, directly drank from is totally fine to get it up to the lip because you're not going to be ingesting the paint at all. I think I've literally painted myself into a corner here. Can we grab it? There we go. Just kind of bring it down. And the best part about this paint is it is dishwasher safe if you put it on the top rack, because as many beautiful things as there are out there as far as choices for dishes, etc., if I can't put it in my dishwasher, it has no place in my home. Like, absolutely no. It's got to be at least a little bit practical. Can we? There we go. I feel like I'm gonna get so far and then just like stick my finger in it. There we go. But this is basically it. I'm gonna let that dry for 24 hours and we will come back tomorrow and get it in the oven and have a gorgeous juice carafe or wine pitcher or flower vase, whatever you want to use it for. Okay, so my pitcher is completely dry. You can kind of see the details of the flowers. I haven't baked it yet, but I'm going to pop it into the oven and basically turn it on, let it come up to 325 degrees, cook for 40 minutes, and then cool down in there. But I don't want a napkin in there, so there we go. We're gonna pop that in the oven. All right, guys, so here is how the pitcher carafe vase turned out. Isn't it cute? I'm going to put the white cloth back in there so you can kind of see it. I mean, you can kind of see it now. But I love the blue and the yellow. So basically, like I said, you just paint it on. The colors are pretty true to what they are. Let it sit for 24 hours and then bake it in the oven. There, I think that's gonna help kind of see the flowers. So that's what I was talking about with the red outline, with letting the yellow show through, and it does create kind of an orangey effect, but it's really just more like red and yellow with a little bit of mixture. But you can get some really great, beautiful flowers out of even just two of the paints, just red and yellow, and then I just did the blue for color. But let me know what you think about this down in the comments. I love hearing from you guys. If you do like the craft or the video, let me know by hitting that thumbs up button. If you'd like to see more crafts, DIY tutorials, and other fun things that I'm up to, go ahead and subscribe. I'd love to see you here again soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.